So in this one, we are going to be doing my top 10 as of October 2023 in Dragon Ball Legends. Now, obviously, Janemba's release has altered a bunch of the top 10, with the being that UVB has obviously taken a big hit, and then some yellows gain a resurgence in their value. Shit, you can even look here, and you'll see a little bit of units you haven't seen before, at least in a couple months, be in this arguable top 10 spot. And it is an impactful meta for Janemba to just release in. It's surprising he has the impact that he has, but nonetheless, we're just going to go through this here. And obviously, these are more centered at 14 stars, though there are some here I don't have high stars, like Ginyu, Path to Power. But, you know, overall, this is centered around the premise of 14 stars, not low stars. So if you have the low stars, maybe this could change. I guess near the top of the list more than anything, but most of it would stay the same regardless of stars. Just to point out, it is at high stars though. Well, let me mention this. Honorable mention, the guy that's going to be there is Rev UI. I think Rev UI is the current best unit to deal with Janemba. I think he is number 11 on this list, and I think what he can offer right now, with it being that, yes, you're going to fight some purples, and that's a problem. There's also blues here. You look, there's Namek Goku, there's Janemba, there's LS17, and there's Frieza to Goku Frieza. That's 4 blues that you can fight. Rev UI can also neutral on his first main, and on his team he does have Yellow Jiren, which I know Jiren's not the best thing, but he also can leader him on androids, which from there, he has the Gammas being 2 coverage yellows, so I do think he's in a good spot, and I think he's actually gained a significant increase in value. Definitely being the best green revival unit in the game currently, right now. That might change, but for now, that is the case. Now, to get into the top 10, I think number 10 is UVB. Now, you might say, okay, I get it, you know, there's a lot of blues, you just mentioned them. Yeah, that makes sense. But 10? Yeah. I've played a lot of PvP since Janemba has dropped. I have 14 stars and all these things. And I've been trying, you know, Namek Goku, LS17, all these other blues just on the sidelines, not really in videos, just trying them, see if they also make UVB just get hurt. And Namek Goku snipes out UVB. I mean, his job. He literally cancels the neutral of UVB on that first main. His only main, rather, but on his main ability. So UVB can't be neutral when he takes that ultimate, and he's locked in, and then, okay, clipped, dead. And it's just like, okay, what the fuck can I do? Then Janemba does 2 strikes. Then from there, this guy popped his 50% heal. He's still at like 40% HP. And it's like, okay, what the fuck can I do? Dead. Now, I will say UVB still makes this list because he is red. Actually, it is saving him here a little bit. Obviously, it's hurting him a lot more, but it is saving him to an extent. Janemba does make Kid Buu try to respawn into the meta, and obviously that being yellow, you do need some safety from Janemba to save him, but Kid Buu, being a yellow, does help UVB's value, and then the Gammas, yes, androids. I think androids is still very clearly going to be hurting by UVB. You know, there's not really a stopper to UVB on androids, because L17 is not bulky enough. Gammas still take a lot. Even if they can defense and neutral and sell, well, he wants to die. It's just like, you also have to deal with Ultra Rose a lot of times with UVB, so it's like, do you want to kill Cell that fast? Probably not. We still want to kill him in a decent time frame. It's a little bit finicky when you're android versus like a future setup, but that's exactly why he's in the top 10. Again, he is a red. He is the only red here you could see, and him even making top 10 still, I feel like is more of a compliment than an insult. Him being this low, yeah, it sucks. It's tragic. You know, Anniversary Ultra, look at the other unit. You know, spoilers, Goku Frieza is still number 1. Comparably, and Goku Frieza was the part 1. This is the part 3. It is tragic for UVB, but they always do this to Vegetos, USV to Cooler, and now UVB with Janemba. Namek Goku, I'd say, are the main 2 that really do that counter situation, but still, Namek Goku and Janemba are still very good off of just countering a red unit, right? They're just really good units individually, but UVB number 10, number 9, we continue. I do have it being the captain himself. Funny enough, when I think of Captain Ginyu, I think of his whole team, right? I don't think just Ginyu because, while he is obviously the main part of it, does damage and all that, I think of Jason Bird, I think of Raccoon Goldo. Raccoon Goldo gain value. UVB goes down, Raccoon Goldo go up, yellow-green, right? So obviously you have Goku Frieza they could deal with, and then you have, you know, Cells running around a little more because of situation of Janemba, and because, you know, now there's a full trio on regen. It's Kid Buu, Cell, or, you know, Orange Piccolo, I guess, if you want. And then Janemba, right? So obviously Raccoon Goldo gains some value in that aspect. And then on top of that, you also do have where people are trying to run greens. I've seen a lot of, Rev UIs, Rosés, what else? Orange Piccolos to a decent extent. I've seen others, but like those are the main three I've seen. The one that gives me most issue personally when I use Janemba, by the way, is Rev UI. That's why I'm saying Rev UI here. I've used him, and then he's given me the most issues. That's the equivalence for me. But Ginyu, very strong fucking unit. I know people saying, like, really, Ginyu over UVB? Yeah, I mean, I've shown it countless times. I have a 7-star Ginyu. It's not even 14 stars, so it's nothing bonkers out of this world, similar to, like, my 14-star UVB, Namek Goku, whatever the fuck else is going to be here. I have Ginyu at 7 stars, and I see him one comboing yellows, and it's like, that's not going to change, right? There's a fucking clip that's on my channel here of Kid Buu getting one comboed by Ginyu, and that's pre-Janemba, so he already was out, and you were still seeing that happen. A 7-star versus a 6-star Kid Buu because they Z-powered him, but it's just like, it was so easy for Ginyu, and it's just, Ginyu's way too good. His team is very good. The safety they actually offer is a little bit more buffed now, because what Ginyu Force does do is you do have a situation where Janemba K-pops that ult early, you go to Raccoon. Now, Raccoon's not going to tank it amazingly, but they do debuff ult damage, they lower sub count by 10, so you can't really snipe out rush X or Y unit on your own choice, because that lower sub count by 10 by full Ginyu Force. So you have Ginyu just being more safe. While he is running into a little bit of yellows, a little bit of increase in them, so he has, gone down a tad bit. He's still fine because he has a red unit alongside him. He's still fine because there's also a lot of green units trying to run to stop Janemba, which makes Ginyu gain value, right? So purples would go up. While he can go down a little bit, he still goes up more significantly than anything else. And that would be my number 9. Number 8, I do have it being, I'm actually looking on the side to make sure I'm not switching over. I do have it being Path to Power. I actually think Path to Power has gained value because you can run a interesting setup. I'm not sure if it's great, but it does give you value against Janemba, and I think everyone right now is trying to counter Janemba. They know and acknowledge the existence of Goku Frieza being number 1. We've had that, so it's like, you're not trying to counter them anymore, you're just kind of like accepting that they're there. Like, you'll run a green and yellow sometimes, but it's not like purposely to stop Goku Frieza, it's just what you have to do at this point. But Path to Power, I do like what he can do on the setup of the Gammas, Green Gogeta, and himself. There's a little bit of rush protection on Path to Power himself. Path to Power himself also can rush out Goku Frieza, but I had this guy low stars, and every single time I use him, that burst potential he does, he's 6 stars for me. His burst potential, absolutely crazy. I've never seen him let me down in early game setting. Not a single fucking time. Always against me, I figure he's going to do way too much burst damage, and I actually get worried that he's going to kill my units too fast, because, burst blast, burst strike, burst that. And he always seems to have a blue and green card, and that blue card hits like a fucking monster truck. That green card gives you a whole ass new hand, basically. Like, Path to Power, I think he's a pretty solid addition. It's just like Dragon Ball Reliance. If you do get unlucky, and there's been sequences, you can see it for yourself or watching people or whatever. Path to Power, you won't get any Dragon Balls, and then from there, okay, you're doing a normal combo, you're doing okay stuff. Like, you could be going crazy type of shit. You know the potential between 1 Dragon Ball in his hand and 3, and it's just like, it's night and day. Shit, it's like the fucking solar eclipse to the moon being blacked out. Like, there's a gap, a wide gap between that. But nonetheless, I like him here. I put him over Ginyu because he also got Green Gogeta being a good addition. Green Gogeta being very good against Janemba. I don't think he's perfect, but I think he's good enough to be, like, contested as an option. I like what he can do. I like thinking that Dragon Ball is decent. I don't think Dragon Ball is great, but I think Dragon Ball is a decent team, so that is my take on Path to Power. I don't really have much else to say about him. I haven't used them the most, but I've used them a decent bit. Probably one of the lesser units I've used, though, because just the star thing. Stars do really carry the game. Then, number 7, I do have it being Kid Buu. Yes, it's been a hot minute since this guy's been contested as top 10 even. Shit, he used to be that top 2 threshold with Ultra Hit and all of them. Ultra Hit, Ultra Rose, Kid Buu. It was all those 3 in the top 3, right? Remember that pre-anniversary? That was a fucking nightmare fuel. But Ultra Hit was very free, so that was very nice as well. Nonetheless, though, Ultra Kid Buu, I mean, it makes sense. He is a yellow unit. He has a blue coverage right now, so all those reds that could exist, Hit, UVB, No one fucking else. No one fucking else. No one fucking else. They don't drop red units, bro. LF Cooler was our last LF Red. You know when he was? A year ago. So, you know, you see where we are. We've got more recent Ultras than we have LFs for the color red. And 1% units, while Ginyu is in that threshold of being just the guy that can make top 10. There's no 1% unit even contesting a thought of top 10, unfortunately, for them here. But Kid Buu, again, decent value. I will say his value is not as exponential as it could be because he is making strikes. You're feeling out a situation where you're dealing with the Janemba there. By the way, my throat is scratchy as fuck. I think I'm a little bit sick, so that's tough, but nonetheless. Kid Buu, though, he does make some strikes, which does hurt against Janemba, but I do think just his potential of being a yellow unit when the red unit has dipped down because all these blue units have come out, it just kind of makes sense that he goes up in a threshold, at least being top 10. I think having him over Path to Power and Ginyu just kind of makes, you know, logical sense, being the purples, and then the red that got dropped down all the way lower, he's over them as well. Yeah, no, there's not much else to explain. You know what he does. He's annoying as fuck, especially with Gauge. If there's anything I can offer you advice, tap bait that Gauge out, attack that Gauge out, whatever you can do. If you let him get Gauge and do his job, he will cook you faster than Janemba. Well, not faster, but he'll cook you as much as Janemba, and you don't want two Janembas to deal with. No, that is a pain in the ass. So get his Gauge out, or you will suffer from Kid Buu being a fucking menace. Now, number 6 and 7, I would swap them, but I do think there's an arguable spot. If you want to swap 6 and 7, feel free. I think 6 is above 7, though, so that's what I'm going to put. But, again, if you want to swap them, feel free. Namek Goku. Namek Goku. Well, let me take a sip here. You know, my cup of joe. All right, I'll give me a second. Okay. Namek Goku. Listen to me. I have never seen a unit used in such a terrible manner. Bro, every time I've got a video on it, I'll probably do another within like this next week or something, because I can't stand the disrespect this guy gets every time I see him run. And you're gonna say this and be like, how the fuck is he 6 if this is what happens every time? I'll explain what happens every time. Every time he's run, sack him off to rush. Never even bring him in the match, but then he gets sacked off to rush immediately. When he's running with Goku Frieza, second unit, third unit, whatever, LF17, I don't give a fuck. Doesn't matter the second unit, just Goku Frieza, Namek Goku, third unit, right? Every fucking time, he's just sacked off, thrown away, done nothing, takes one combo, and then gets fucking nuked because they didn't realize how fucking fragile he could be. He's not a defensive unit, he's a very good offense unit. Namek Goku, just to really simplify this, is LF Cell, the perfect cell, which is barely going to be higher, by the way, is him with one extra step. You know what that is? Green card. Simple, right? He makes the green card, for fuck's sake. You do a green card, you get infinite combo. You get another green card by that time. Okay, that's 15 counts cover null. 20 if you have the Gauge. Every single Gauge fulfillment that he pops the green card with is giving him 10 counts cover null. With this unit being a blue, obviously greens are trying, right? I don't think greens are succeeding. You could tell by this list, greens are not succeeding to come back in, but greens are trying. You still have Namek Goku being free as shit. No one's stopping this guy. No one is stopping Namek Goku from getting an infinite combo into a snipe out on any unit in the game that doesn't have endurance. So LF17. Ignore LF17. Namek Goku gets a free snipe out on any unit in the game so easily right now. Just anyone in this top 10, he could just one combo snipe. And I see this guy thrown away to rush every single fucking time I fight him. Every time. It's without failure. This guy gets so disrespected. Despite being as cool of a character he is, there's fucking flurries in my room now. Cool character he is, as awesome as he is, as good as he is, he gets treated just like, oh yeah, he's another UVB counter. No. He's not the LF Cooler of 2023. He's just fucking Namek Goku. He's really good. And yet I see this guy just doesn't ever do anything. I'll run him. I'll run him and he does fucking great. And that's awesome. But everyone just sacks him off because they're like, oh my Goku Frieza, they gotta live. And I understand Goku Frieza is better. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But why the fuck's he on the team then? Just run your Remza or some shit. Like, people use this guy awfully. I've never seen more than 3 times against me usage with this Namek Goku to where he just fucking destroyed me. It's not because he's bad. It's not. I promise. I've used him and destroyed with him. It's because they just have these other units, and they're going to just prioritize them over him, despite the fact Namek Goku would be better off in an early game setting than these other units. And for most settings, I see people with Goku Frieza comboing Kid Buu instead of with Namek Goku, with Goku side of Goku Frieza. And it's like, huh? You're right there! Go! Get out! Go to Namek Goku! It's like, I don't know, man. I just see him used so, like, disrespectfully. Like, most people wouldn't even have him like 6, they have him like 8 or 9 or some shit like that, because you just don't see him used right. People don't, I guess, own him that want to use him, and it's just like, every time he is used, it's used in such a terrible manner. It's like, the fuck is going on? Like, you would think he's dog shit. He isn't at all. I find it humorous, the terrible usage of this guy. That's all. That's all. Number 5, let's just continue, because I hate how badly Namek Goku's used. But number 5, I do have the Gammas. I think the Gammas have gone down a little bit, because that means Janemba is obviously higher up and being as good as he is. But again, you can argue the Gammas are in an okay spot. I don't think they're in a perfect spot, right? I think Regen's in like a perfect spot. I think Android's in a pretty good spot, okay spot, and then all the others obviously just have, you know, faults with being mostly blue-purple. Yellow-green is just kind of trying to thrive / attempting to come into existence, to where all the other teams kind of struggle in some manner. But I think Androids is an okay spot. Again, they can't really deal with UVB, so that's a problem for them. And then Androids versus Janemba. I think Janemba does very well against Androids. I don't think he does perfect. Not at all, but I do think he does very well. If you're going to fight a Magenta, I've fought a couple Magentas. They actually end up having no value. Matter of fact, they would probably lose the opponent the game if, you know, in most spots, comparably, if they just had, like, LF Cell instead or something. Like, that was a double blow-up team, and I had Janemba, and I won. They didn't hit me. They hit me with, like, 2 or 3 cards, and then most of their damage was from the blow-ups. No one even died on my team. And they had Gammas, Magenta and LF Cell, and it's like, okay, you could have that, but you're just kind of fucking yourself over in the end. So I don't think Androids is perfect, but Gammas, I mean, again, the common sense is here to where Androids obviously is still very good, with it being the red has fallen down even further, so their counter, they're really good unit against them. That's like in a prime spot to deal with them of UVB, because UVB just doesn't care about LF-17 because he's just very fragile against all those debuffs and strikes and all that bullshit. Their counter, if you want to call them that, has fallen down. So while the Gammas have inconsequentially fallen down because of just units being better, they're not bad. Obviously, I would even say 5 to 6 has a decent gap between them. I don't think anything below that does, but 5 to 6, just the team gap is really significant once we get up here in these top 5 areas. And then obviously the Gammas are no exception to that. Gammas being the current non-buff best aging units since Anniversary is nice to see, because initially, obviously, they were very good, and then you had UVB come out. It's like, okay, Gammas are food, and no, it's kind of accurate. It still is pretty accurate, because again, LF-17 Gammas do not really stop UVB, but it's nice to see that an LF is aging better than Ultra, because Ultras usually just have this broken, you know, bullshit behind them. That's obviously changing, but Vegetos, they hate that. They hate making them broken, so they obviously diminish that. They fucking hate Vegetos. But number 4 is going to be LF-17. I think he is obviously very good, having his utility that can be offered. There's not much I have to explain. You know what he does. He's been up here for a good minute, and nothing about that's going to change. They release a strong green unit. Okay, LF-17 is still going to be very good. He has LF Cell right next to him. Like, it's like saying Janemba's going to fall off because there's a very strong green. No, you have LF Cell right there for 1. Then for 2, you have Path to Power on a different team that could run with him. Hypothetically, his Path to Power could be Strike or Blast Base. And then for 3, he's not just a very, okay, I'm only good against this. No, Janemba's good against everything. Janemba shit stomps the entire game. Output-wise, he's so fucking fast. Reminder, Janemba gives his build-up 20% per Strike or Blast click, right? So he's at 20, 40, 60, 80, then he starts with like 150. Okay, that's like 230. He's on boost. Okay, here's like 250. Here's debuffs. Blah, 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 blah. He also gets Cup Pen on main, and his ultimate always hits you hard as shit, especially high stars. My Janemba, when I'm doing an ultimate, bare minimum to a green unit, I've seen it do is like 1.2 million. Bare minimum. To a green. Raw. No build-up. 0 build-up. I've seen the ultimate one-shot units. I've seen the ultimate one-shot from no build-up, just frame one of the match. You know what I mean? So Janemba, being as good as he is, he definitely won't just fall down the fucking gutter, especially being just what he is. And especially because he can neutral. This guy does defense neutral a couple times. He also does offense neutral with an ally's dead, 5 counts every entry. So you pretty much are not going to fall off very quickly, but I mean, hey, maybe he will. Maybe Legend Seth doesn't give a fuck about anything that's happening right now. But nonetheless, LS17, go back to him. Again, Android is a very good team. LS17 does start to hurt, but again, these greens aren't making top 10. These greens are trying to run around Orange Piccolo, Rev UI, the Fours, you know, whoever else, Rose, all them. They're trying, but they're not succeeding. Again, they just don't have a great foundation. Rev UI probably has the best foundation being on like an Android or Unirep setup. And that's more because Goku Frieza just exists and they're like really good, obviously. But, you know, Rose, you're running future. Okay, well, here's Cell, Kid Buu food. Here's UVB, Janemba food. And then here's Rose. And it's like, what the fuck are you going to do, right? How the fuck are you going to stop out situation there? So these greens don't have any safety to run in a match. So it doesn't really diminish LS17. If they were better, yeah, but they aren't better. So LS17 doesn't really move anywhere. Maybe move down 1 because Janemba, again, is so fucking strong. I have to put him up. But LS17, nothing's changed. Gamba's nothing's changed. It's just Janemba's that good. Number 3 is going to be, obviously, Cell. Now you're thinking, damn, them purple jumps. Yeah, like I said, team-wise, this shit gets a gap. You look at number 5 to 6. Yeah, teams are crazy. I would say Ginyu Force actually is a little bit underrated, but Jason Birder really hold it back from being like a really, really good team. Dragon Ball being a decent team as well, but again, I think they're held back by just inferior units on their team. Though, androids cannot relate to that. Cell obviously has gained a new team, with it being himself, Kid Buu, and Janemba on a trio together. That obviously is very good and very safe. There's not really an answer to that trio, actually. I mean, I guess Goku Frieza, but it's not a full answer. Like, shit, I want Cell to die half the time, and then the other times, I want Janemba to pop gauge. And the other times, okay, here's Kid Buu who could snipe out if he gets a lucky spot. So it's just like, it's not really full countered out. There's units that are good against it, but it's units on this team that are good against this team. Janemba's good against this team. Kid Buu's good against this team. Who really else is good against Team Gammas? Alright, that's a few units. Nothing counters out a regen setup right now, and that's why Cell has gained value. His team hasn't been altered. That trio right there is a team. 3, 4, 5 is a team. So you look at that, you're like, okay, that hasn't changed. And then he gained another team. It'll just make sense for him to go up, right? To be above LS17, because he's gained more than he's lost. He hasn't really been touched. Like, yes, the Gammas, but they have already existed. Yes, Kid Buu, but he's already, like, kind of been a non-factor. Like, yes, he exists, Kid Buu. He's going to be annoying for Cell to deal with, but it's never going to be, like, something that's, like, too troublesome. The output Cell can do to yellows, especially, because he does do more to yellows, is fine. I think Kid Buu is more just using the back end, not really, like, a focus fire unit in most matchups anyways. You're using Janemba. Like, that's the guy you're using, right? If you have to use Kid Buu, you will, but I don't think he's anything too crazy. And on top of the survivability of Android / regen, and you can run a revival unit if you want. If you want to deal with Kid Buu in a safer manner, feel free. Orange Piccolo is right there, right? Or LS17, which obviously can live most attacks, you know, from the big moves, you know, Rising Rush, Ultimates, all that bullshit. So Cell does keep at number 3. Well, gains number 3. And then number 2 is going to be the newest unit of Ultra Janemba. How can I explain this in a more simplistic manner than broken? He really is. I think, let me just point this out. I have to really, like, get through this one here. People overrate the gauge. Now, I think the gauge is very strong, and that's not overrating. It's just saying it's very strong, right? But people overrate it to where I mean that they will not pop it. People will ignore the gauge, meaning they will do everything in their power to not pop that gauge because they're scared of it. Now, that gauge can be annoying. I already said it. Does about 1 million to even type disadvantage. But that's a 14-star Janemba. Not everyone's around 14-star Janemba. If you just pop that gauge and people acknowledge that that gauge isn't that scary, I would move him down. The thing is, this is more like a weird spot because I don't think he's particularly number 2. I could argue him right now as like 3 or 4, right? I could feel that right now. But that's if people acknowledge this gauge is not as amazing as it really seems to be. It's kind of UGB spot. If people back then, and I think it was harder back then because too many yellows, but there's a lot of greens that can do well right now, right? And you really don't even need a green unit to tank this Janemba's ultimate. But nonetheless, it was harder to stop UGB's bullshit because there wasn't too many units that were amazing against him back then. So I understood that a little bit, but the gauge was still overrated. And he was ranked as, you know, this arguable with Beast Gohan, with the 4s, and then, you know, whatever the fuck else. He's arguable top 1 with Beast Gohan, basically, right? And then from there, people over time learned it's not that problematic to pop the gauge. I mean, everyone does it now, right? They'll insta-pop UGB gauge. And I think Janemba's is very similar to that. Shit, even right now, which they probably did this on purpose, planning Janemba, Yellow Cell exists. So you have Yellow Cell on standby, you pop that gauge with whoever the fuck else is on your team. Okay, you IT out, it does no damage because he can't get cover null. Janemba gets cover null when he gets a strike or blast for 5 counts. He won't be comboing you because you popped his gauge, right? You're doing the card, you're landing the card. So you IT out and you take no damage. I'm just saying, if people actually value the gauge in a more sensible setting, I would lower this guy, but how it's being used and how I'm seeing it be so frightened, I guess is the wording, because I'll have it right there and someone will have green in it. They'll never pop it. They'll ignore it. They'll just try to ignore it. Then from that point, I'm just mid-range striking when they're doing their blast, and it's like, what are you doing? You're just letting me kill your entire team because you're overrating the gauge. I think Janemba has contention for top 2, and I put him here because of that gauge being so overrated, but in reality, I probably would say Cell, LS17 can argue above Janemba. Like, I don't think he's just this unequivocal top 2 right now. He has very good teams and very freeness just existing. I just think he's a little overrated on that gauge. Like, if people just understood, just pop that shit, you wouldn't see him as top 2. That gauge is what gives him that top 2. That scaredness that people are gaining from him, that's that top 2. That's not fully his own kit. It's more the impression people have from past gauges like this of UGB. That's what really, like, makes him 2 here. I, again, give the thoughts that he could be 3, 4, and I wouldn't mind it at all. I could put Cell number 2 right now. I wouldn't mind it for shit. I would think it's actually decent. I would put LS17 number 2. I wouldn't mind it for shit. I think it'd be pretty decent. But without people are treating the gauge and how it's getting just like, oh my god, I can't pop it, I'm so scared. Then they'll lose a whole match because they never popped the gauge, and the irony is right there. You know, what can I say? I gotta put them higher because just how people are just seeing this, how I'm dealing with it, and I'm popping the gauge a lot. I don't mind it. Fuck it, whatever. Just fucking take the hit. But everyone else I'm fighting, a lot of time, they ain't popping this shit. Or they do pop it, right? They'll pop for 1, and then they'll use a unit that isn't in a decent spot to take. Like, let's say there's like Goku Frieza, LF17 Jiren. They'll let Goku Frieza take it. And then they'll get 1 card after. It's like, you kind of got PV'd, and you fucked yourself over because you let Goku Frieza take it. So you get a risky spot to where you're 1 shot away from a card on a PV, and then you just killed your unit. It's like, well, you got 2 others right there! You don't let them take it, but I don't know. I think he will diminish in a relative manner of, like, you know, decency. Nothing, you know, like, just fucking dip down like crazy, but Janemba's very good. Still very strong, just do have to get out of the way that people are overrating his gauge a little bit. Like, it's strong, it's very good, it's very annoying, but, like, you can avoid it, and you can even not even, you know, acknowledge it exists. Like, you don't have to be scared of it. Like, you could just understand it's there, I gotta take it, okay. We move forward, the match is a lot easier because I don't have to deal with that annoying bullshit that's gonna end my combos because I'm too scared to pop it. You don't have to be scared to pop it. It's okay. You'll be okay. And number 1 is obviously Goku Frieza, the unit of units of PvP. Obviously, nothing has changed with them. You can figure that. Nothing I have to explain. They are blue-purple. If anything, I guess they get hurt a little bit by Kid Buu and his resurgence, and obviously these greens attempting to come back. But again, I've mentioned it, these greens aren't back. They're trying. They're not back. Look at top 2. There's 2 fucking blue units there. Look at top 5. There's fucking 3 blue units there. 3 blue units there. They're trying, but they're failing, right? We need a new green unit that's going to really, like, stop shit down. But nonetheless, this is my top 10. Goku Frieza being number 1, Janemba being number 2, Cell being number 3, LS17 being number 4, Ganema's being number 5, Namek Goku number 6, Kid Buu number 7, Path Power number 8, Ginyu number 9, and UVB number 10, with Rev UI rounding out the top 11 here. for me personally. Let me know what you guys think of my top 10 list of October 2023, and I'll see you guys in the next one.